Hello and welcome to the Westcity Church podcast. If you'd like to get to know us more, find us at westcitychurch.com.au. We really hope that you're encouraged by today's message.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Allyson. I've been blessed by the love and compassion of this community for about a year or so now. And I'm just going to share how communion outworks a little bit in my life. I'm going to start with the passage that sort of undergirds it for me, which is 1 Corinthians 12, 23 to 26. And I'm going to emphasise a couple of verbs, actually. The same night in which he was handed over, he took bread and gave thanks. Then he distributed it to the disciples and said, "Take it and eat your fill. It is my body which is given for you. Do this to remember this." He did the same with the cup of wine after supper and said, "This blood seals the new covenant with my blood. Drink it, and whenever you drink this, do this to remember me. Whenever you eat this bread and drink this cup, you are retelling the story, proclaiming the Lord's death until he comes." The thing I forgot to emphasise there was proclaiming. So those two things, remembering and proclaiming, are the things that undergird communion for me. And when I think about it, I imagine like a huge gong, you know, one of those things that has a frame and then there's this big round thing and the sound just goes out in ripples. And when I'm celebrating communion, that's what I'm thinking about communally or by myself. The ripples of remembering and the ripples of proclamation are going out around us. Every morning I get my breakfast tray ready and I go out into the garden and I have a little round table and a chair and the dog comes with me and there are willy wagtails and there are doves and there are honey eaters as well, and they surround me and I chat with the dog and I chat with them and I chat with Jesus as well. Maybe I should put that in the other order. And I pray and I listen to worship music and sing, and then I also take communion. And I do this whether it's winter or summer. I just add more layers and maybe a hot water bottle in the winter, and I finish with communion. And communion for me has become like a proclamation of what is true when things look otherwise. And there are plenty of opportunities in our world for things to look otherwise than what Jesus said. But it's like this gong, boom, and the ripples go out as you proclaim what is true, not just what you see, but what is ultimately true. And the other thing that communion does for me is that it's remembering. So I've got a very well-developed forgettery, and I want to pray for people and situations, but I forget. But now when I take communion, all of my interceding and praying and proclaiming over people is attached to the communion. So now my forgettery is short-circuited and I remember to pray. And so I thank God for what he's doing when I can see it or when I can't see it. I proclaim what God is doing, whether I can see it or not, and I grieve or whatever needs to happen. And so that all is like that gong of ripples going out.
Good morning, West City. Oh, good morning, all of you. No, I'm good, Carolyn. Thank you. What a wonderful morning. What a beautiful morning. Allyson, awesome. That was awesome. Love seeing that. I love seeing Tara walk in. There's nothing that lights up my day like seeing Tara and her belly. When she told me she's pregnant, I cried. I couldn't stop. I get so excited about babies. I'm just going to take off my Crocs because they're a little bit daggy. Not to mention the hair. It's all right, the hair's not sticking around. I will be shaving it pretty soon. I'm just having some fun. I've quit my job recently before I start another job, so I'm just having having a good little time. Look, I've said good morning to you guys. Take 30 seconds to say g'day to the people next to you. Shake hands. All right. We're going to bring it back because I know that you guys are ready to go to coffee as soon as you guys start talking. So we're going to bring it back in. This morning, we're continuing on the Lenten journey through John. We've heard from the wonderful Kathleen, we've heard from Trav, we've heard from Dawn, we've heard from Theo. Dawn set me up brilliantly last week. I'm here to knock it down, and then hopefully the person who comes after me next week can actually fix everything up that I'm going to, say. But there's a series of I am statements that we get through when we're moving through John. Spoiler, I'm talking today about I am the good shepherd. This is a ripper one. I'm someone who doesn't, you don't have to put your hand up, but I probably don't spend enough time going through my Bible. But when I get to preach or when I'm preparing for our home church, I have to sit down, I have to go through it, and I love it. It just comes alive, and I'm excited about this verse because this is going to kind of come to life in a lot of beautiful ways to you guys. So hang with me. We're going to walk through this one together. Look, the challenge for me this week is to not leave the congregation feeling despondent. It would be wrong for me to come up here and talk about, to not talk about anything that's happening outside these walls. That's never been something that Westcity has done. We're not really able to just ignore what happens outside these walls and just talk about, us as some, little community and as though everything in here matters and it's just about us and our souls. But it's really about how we exist in the world. That is the call as Christians, and that's what, I guess the duty that anyone that comes up here has to somewhat perform. So this morning we're examining Jesus and one of the prophets. And there are some powerful critiques of corrupt leadership in a scathing indictment of the shepherds of Israel. The leaders of a nation who exploited its people or abused them. And my goal, again, the challenge for me, is to not leave you guys feeling despondent, hopeless, and as though there's nothing that we can do. So that's my challenge. If I do leave you feeling hopeless, talk to Lauren, file your complaints, make sure I get back up here again, because then I wouldn't be doing the text justice, because you need to understand that when we go through this text, where we land, where we end, is with hope. There is hope. But to be able to give a good critique of bad shepherds and we need to be able to look at, quote unquote, the brimstone, the damnation, the hell on earth kind of stuff that kind of does come with the bad shepherds, quote unquote. And we need to look at that stuff and we need to explore that stuff to be able to say, well, what is a good shepherd? Because we can look at what a good shepherd does. We can look at what a bad shepherd does. And the way that they lead their flocks are completely different. But for the congregation, there's 3 challenges for you. And the beautiful thing about being a community and something that we're going to just try today is we're just going to talk to the people next to us. I'll give you guys some time to kind of talk to the people around you because, again, this stuff doesn't exist just within this church. It exists outside these walls. We are a community and getting to have these conversations with each other could be a helpful thing. So look, we're going to explore it. Bear with me, and if you hate it, again, Lauren's email, Lauren at Westcity, no. So look, here are the 3 challenges for the congregation. 1, you're going to identify who is the hired hand that cares nothing for you. It'll make sense in a second when we look at the text. But again, identify who is the hired hand that cares nothing for you. We're going to stop and do that. We'll come back. Second, we're going to look at how do we divest or withdraw the authority that hired hand has over you. In what way, big or small, do you take back your agency and reclaim your own life and live freely in God's abundance and justice and love? And then thirdly, what are things that we can do to show others the difference between living under a bad shepherd who uses, abuses, exploits, oppresses us, and how do we show them what it is to live under a good shepherd that loves us so much that they would lay down their life for us? That's the 3. I had to check that I had the right number of fingers up. So if you've got your Bibles in front of you, if you've got your phones, flip them open because we are going to be doing a bit of Bible work today. Sorry. No, I'm joking. So we're opening up to John 10, verses 11 to 14. I'll give you guys a second to open up your Bibles. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Got it? Simple? All right, cool. All right, we're done. So I had to fight the urge to do like a Kathleen-style biblical kind of storybook telling thing. I mean, it's kind of partly why I dyed my hair. I thought I'd get some sort of divine inspiration from Kathleen by looking like her. But there's some great characters in this. We've got the bad shepherd, the good shepherd, we've got the sheep, and then we've got the wolf as well. But I'm gonna push aside the urge to kind of go into create like a story with that. I want to focus more on two things though: the I am statement and where this I am statement is taking us. What is it pointing at? Because you've got to remember that these I am statements, who Jesus is proclaiming to be, is essentially what gets him killed, or the reason that he's executed on a cross. Because of the imposition of who Jesus is saying, right? He is that the authority of the leaders is being questioned, and that threatens the empire, the system that people exist in. This is the reason Jesus is killed. And the I am statement, as Kathleen and Theo and Trav and Dawn have discussed, I am is talking about I am who I am. I am the great I am. I am Yahweh. I'm your God. But the imposition, though, of talking about the good shepherd, Jesus is pointing at something else entirely different. Does anyone, I'm going to throw it out there, anyone know who Jesus is pointing at? Fulfillment of prophecy. That's right, it's David. Who said that? 10 points. 10 points. That was ripper. Jesus is saying, I am the new David. See, David was his father Jesse's shepherd. David's role was to take care of the sheep. Now, I want you to think about what it is to be a shepherd. You sleep among the sheep because the sheep are your whole life. They are everything that you care about. They are your inheritance. They are your food. They are your clothing. They are everything. Your job as a shepherd is not just to protect them from bears and wolves, oh my, but your job is to get the sick sheep and nurse them back to health. When they break a limb, you bandage them up. When they scatter, you go and find them. You go find the lost sheep and you bring them back into the fold because they are safer, right? Your life as a shepherd revolves entirely around these sheep. I mean, any parents in the audience, right? It's like you guys kind of get it. Your whole world for at least 2-3 years is just, I need to make sure this thing lives. And imagine you got 500 of them, you know? But Jesus is pointing at himself as the fulfillment of prophecy, as this new David, as this person who's going to rebuild God's temple and fulfill divine prophecy, right? And so what we're actually looking at is Ezekiel 34. So again, if you've got your Bibles, your phones open, we're going to read the whole of Ezekiel because I tried to cut it down. I tried to reduce it. I can't. There is so much in there, and you're going to read this and you're going to go, I know who he's talking about. No, I'm not implying anything. That's not for me, right? But we're going to go through it slowly. And so if you've got your Bibles or your phones, we're going to read a whole verse of the Old Testament, a whole chapter. Ezekiel 34. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says to you. Woe to you, shepherds of Israel, who only take care of yourselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? You eat the curds, clothe yourselves with the wool, and slaughter the choice animals, but do not take care of the flock? I've just seen how long this is. This is really long. You have not strengthened the weak, or healed the sick, or bound up the injured. You have not brought back the strays or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally. So they were scattered because there was no shepherd. And when they were scattered, they became food for all the wild animals. My sheep wandered over all the mountains, and on every high hill they were scattered over the whole earth, and no one searched or looked for them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, because my flock lacks a shepherd, and so has been plundered, and has become food for all the wild animals, because my shepherds did not search for my flock, but cared for themselves rather than my flock. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I'm against the shepherds and will hold them accountable for my flock. I will remove them from tending the flock, so that shepherds can no longer feed themselves. I will rescue my flock from their mouths, and it will no longer be food for them. For this is what the sovereign Lord says. I myself will search for the sheep and look after them. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered on a day of clouds and darkness. I will bring them out from the nations and gather from the countries, and I will bring them into their own land. I will pasture them on mountains of Israel, in the ravines and all the settlements in the land. I will tend them in good pasture, and the mountain heights of Israel will be their grazing land. They will lie down in good grazing land, and they will feed in a rich pasture of the mountains of Israel. I myself will tend my sheep and have them lie down, declares the sovereign Lord. I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak, but the sleek and the strong I will destroy. I will shepherd the flock with justice. I'm going to stop there for a second. There's a lot, it doesn't need to turn all into babble, so we're just going to take a break. The interesting thing, before I go on, is what's really cool about this chapter is there's essentially 4 sections, and they go warning, promise, warning, promise. It's God's warning against the good shepherd, and then God's promise of the kingdom to come. Then it's a warning against the sheep, which we're about to go into now. And then again, a promise of God's kingdom to come. As for you, my flock, this is us. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I would judge between one sheep and another, and between rams and goats. It is not enough for you to feed on the good pasture. Must you trample the rest of the pasture with your feet? Is it not enough for you to drink clear water? Must you also muddy the rest with your feet? Must my flock feed on what you have trampled and drink what you have muddied with your feet? Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says to them. See, I myself will judge between the fat sheep and the lean sheep, because you shove with flank and shoulder, butting all the weak sheep with your horns until you've driven them away. I will save my flock, and they will no longer be plundered. I will judge between one sheep and another. I'll place over them one shepherd, my servant David, and will tend them. He will tend them and be their shepherd. I, the Lord, will be their God, and my servant David will be prince among them. I, the Lord, have spoken. I'll make a covenant of peace with them. This is the promise. I'll make a covenant of peace with them and rid the land of savage beasts, so that they may live in the wilderness and sleep in forests in safety. I'll make them and the places surrounding my hill a blessing. I'll send down showers in season. There'll be showers of blessing. The trees will yield their fruit, and the ground will yield its crops. The people will be secure in the land. They will know that I am the Lord when I break the bars of their yoke and rescue them from the hands of those who enslave them. They will no longer be plundered by the nations, nor will wild animals devour them. They will live in safety, and no one will make them afraid. I'll provide for them a land renowned for its crops, and they will no longer be victims of famine in their land or bear the scorn of the nations. Then they will know that I, the Lord, their God, am with them, and that they, the Israelites, are my people, declares the sovereign Lord. You are my sheep, the sheep of my pasture. I am your God, declares the sovereign Lord. Whew. Few Catholics here, right, who just learnt to sit through like long bits of verse in church. So thanks for sitting with me. I think it's probably the longest that we've ever read of a single thing. When reading this, and I've read it a lot, but when reading this, I think of Hannah's song, in 1 Samuel. I think of Mary's Magnificat, which is actually what Mary's Magnificat is based on 1 Samuel. It is a lot of language of, they will cast down the high and we will crush the oppressors, and it's pretty cool stuff. I'm going to stop there for a second and let someone answer their phone. I'm going to stop there, and Westcity, I want you guys to turn to the people around you. And first challenge for you guys is identify who is the hired hand that cares nothing for you. And that can be anyone. I'm genuinely not trying to lead you anywhere. This can be people that lead nations. This can be people in our own communities or households or bosses or whoever, people you know, people you don't know. But I would like you to turn to the people next to you and just talk about, in your world, who are the hired hands that should be taking care of you, who should be taking care of you when you're sick, when you are in famine or lonely, and they're not. I'll give you 2 minutes. Was that helpful for you guys? Yeah? It was just nice having a chat? That's good. That's good. What I want you guys to understand is that for thousands of years, and this is something that you know, I'm telling you things that you know, but sometimes it helps us to have repeated to us the things that we already know. Sometimes you need to hear out loud the things that you already know, but having them confirmed to you out loud is an important thing. Sometimes my wife does it to me to help me understand that I'm not crazy. She'll say, you did leave your keys there. I don't know where they've gone. She's very good, very, very good to me. So it's good to have that confirmation bias. But something that you know that you hear again and again and again and again and again and again and again, and it's everything that you read in this book is how your God, for thousands of years, for time immemorial, has stood on the side of the oppressed, the downtrodden, the beaten, the broken, all that. That's not a shock to you. This is not news to you. Your God talks about going after, leaving the 99 and going for the one sheep that has gone off by itself. Your God talks about taking care of the sick and the naked and the beaten and the broken. Your God has railed against greed, or a system where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Your God has stood on the side of the occupied, the collateral damage, the civilian casualties, the widows, the liberators. Your God has railed against a system in which the poor get poorer and the weak get weaker, where the warm are clothed and the cold are left naked, where the fed get fuller and the hungry are famished, where the employed are promoted but the jobless are evicted, where the educated can and should be enlightened but the ignorant are left deceived, where the connected are influential and the isolated become the ignored. It is not hard for us to point outside these walls and talk about a world that does not look like the kingdom of God. It is also not hard to point outside these walls and talk about bad shepherds that lead us further into a system that your God, and I'm careful here, that would break the heart of your God to see how God's creation is treated. Your God has warned against all of this. Our God has not set apart a special breed of sheep. We are all subject or hold duty to love one another and be our brother and sister's keeper. For the last year, I have had the absolute privilege to run a home church with Beck and with a number of our young people in Westcity, and we were looking through John. And John is awesome. John is just, easily my favourite book. But what we kept coming across was all these little bits in John where I would say to our home church, a text without a context is a sure sign you're being conned. So when the text refers to something obscure, let's look into it. And the text would talk about certain pools, certain places. It would talk about being in the temple on the outer courts, or it would talk about being on the east side of the temple. And we'd say, well, what's going on here? What is John pointing at time and time and time again? John has been pointing at Jesus talking to not the religious elite, not the Jewish people, the lay Jewish people, talking to Gentiles, people of non-Jewish heritage, right? People who are outside, who don't get to access the temple, right? But on the east, for example, on the eastern side of the temple is Solomon's Colonnade. And Solomon's Colonnade is a high thoroughfare area where anyone can come and listen. And this is who John is pointing at Jesus spending a whole lot of time talking to. The second challenge, I skipped over the second challenge because I thought we're going to end up talking a lot. But the second and third challenge, which we'll get to after all this, is I want you guys to think about what are ways that we actually take back our agency from those people in small and big ways. In small and big ways, right? How do we actually be sheep that are obedient to a good shepherd and push against shepherds that are bad shepherds? How do we reclaim agency in ourselves? How do we look at giving dignity to those that the world would otherwise undignify or strip dignity from? I recognise I'm a little bit gregarious, a little bit cheeky, but there's certain lines that I don't like to cross. I can't ever assume to speak on behalf of my God. I wouldn't ever dare enter into the divine ledger things that God has never said. But if you're despondent, if you're hopeless and discouraged about the world, I want to tell you what I believe of God's heart. And sometimes saying things out loud is helpful for us. Sometimes there are things that we inherently know, but we need to have confirmed to us from somewhere. I hate this war. And I hate what is happening outside of here to God's creation. The use of people's time, the use of people's resources, the use of people's intelligence and brilliance and everything that we can make with our human hands, right, is being used for sin. There is I cannot right now think of a worse sin than creating a bomb and bombing people. It grieves my heart that when we talk about what is happening outside this war, we are talking about the prices of petrol and not the fact that there are casualties. I'm deeply grieved by this, and I know that you are too. But I needed you to know that you're not crazy for thinking it. I need you to know that I'm confident that this would also grieve the heart of God, and there is no words in here that speak exactly to this moment, exactly to this time, referring exactly to what is happening today. But we've seen it before. And it hurts and it grieves me. There is no greater moral failing of a bad shepherd to waste resources like that on the destruction of creation. There is, whether it's Kai or Cain or Abdul or Abel, my God still asks me, and he will ask you, where is your brother, where is your sister? You are your brother and sister's keepers. It is not enough to feed you on good pasture, must you also trample the rest of the pasture with your feet? Is it not enough to feed you for you to drink clear water, must you also muddy the rest with your feet? The call on our lives that we enter into in the waters of baptism, when we proclaim God as the Prince of Peace, Jesus is the Prince of Peace, we talk about taking up our cross and carrying it. There is a duty that we take upon ourselves to say that we want to live differently to the rest of the world, that we don't want to look like what's going on outside. We actually want to be the picture of hope. If you are feeling despondent, if you're feeling hopeless, your shepherd knows you and his sheep know him. Our role is to be a signpost to the light of the world. Our role is to, as much as we can, look like Jesus. We say it in our... help me out, what's the word? Benediction. Thanks, guys. We say in our benediction how much we wish to point back to a God that loves. I'm going to throw it back to you guys just to chat to people around you, and if you can, chat to someone that you haven't spoken to yet. We're a big, lovely community, and you guys only benefit from talking to more people. But I want to just ask you guys, talk to people around you. What are the small things that you guys can do that take back agency? And secondly, what are the ways that you guys can live your lives that point back to a shepherd that loves you and would lay down your life? I'll give you guys a minute because we need to wrap this one up, all right? Go on. I'm going to wrap it up like this. It is so nice. It is so nice to have to fight with voices that are talking about what hope looks like in this world. It is so nice to have to contend with a buzzing hall of people that are talking about what it looks like to live differently, to walk differently, to love the sick when good shepherds don't, to heal the wounded when bad shepherds won't, to love and to point their lives towards Jesus. It is a remarkable, remarkable, beautiful thing as a church, and I hope that we get to explore it more. But know this, it's rocky out there and it can be hard. But your shepherd knows you and your shepherd loves you. There is no length that your God won't go to let you know of how much he loves you. There's no length that your God will go, that you can go, that your shepherd's not with you all the way. We're a people backed by a God that loves. We're a people that profess a love that exists in this world. And our role is again and again to point as signposts back to that love. And it is a brilliant and beautiful and wonderful way to live. So I'm going to invite the band back up. And our servers. And I'm going to invite you guys to the table and ask that when you come to the table, if you'd like, take your communion back to your pew and have communion with your community. Remember, proclaim. This is the table, not of the church, but of the Lord. It is made ready for all those who love God and want to love God more. So come, you who have much faith and you who have little. You who have been here often and you who come for the first time. You who have tried to follow and you who have failed, come, because it is the Lord who invites you, and it's God's will that those who want Christ should meet him here. So come.
Thank you so much for joining us. Each week at West City, we say a benediction together. We do this because we believe that the purpose of the church is to be a caring community for the world, and that as we go and serve others, we enter into Christ's work of welcome, restoration and healing, both for us and others. We believe that in doing so, we get to see and encounter Christ. So let's say the benediction together. We come together as the church to be reminded of the go of Christ. So we will go out and feed the hungry, go out and clothe the naked, go out and fight for justice, go out and end oppression, go out and proclaim anew the old story, go out and associate with those who don't look like us, think like us, act like us, and don't even like us. And we'll do it all in the name of the one who sent us. His name is Jesus.